In 2021, you were already offered the position. You said no at that time. 5 years later, you said yes. What changed in these 5 years? You are by training, a victimologist, and you've been the youngest rector. You're a legal scholar. It is not the path of a politician we see every day. How did politics come to be about?
Well, it actually started with a question from the party that won the elections in the last election round. The head of the political leader asked me to form the cabinet in the process towards a new cabinet. That's quite a legal process also in the Netherlands, that there is an external advisor that helps the parties to become a cabinet. And I was asked to take that role.
At what point did you sort of suspect that you might end up on the table yourself?
So that was my first step into this Hague bubble, and to help the political parties to reach an agreement on content, on finances, and that's where it started actually.
You spent 20 years building a career around victims, so to speak, people without power. Especially in the context of that you came into position of power. What did teach that to you? Hi everyone, and welcome back to another episode on Female Empowerment, the podcast. My name is Simone, founder and host, and I'm excited would be an understatement. I'm just really happy. We're in the Netherlands, in Den Haag, and sitting across from me is Minister Rianne Letschert. Thank you so much for taking the time. I'll start right away. You
Most welcome here.
Oh, thank you very much.
You
You have a wonderful city.
Yes, we do.
It is. I have never experienced a big city that feels relaxed at the same time.
Yeah, that's true. It has that atmosphere. I agree.
Yeah, that is really impressive. You're the Minister of Culture and Educational Affairs.
And science.
Oh, and science. Thank you so much.
Don't
And
forget science.
Science.
Because I love them all.
I didn't know this, but in Germany we have it separate.
Yeah,
I know. And then it's
different in every European country, I can tell you. I was also from my Brussels experience in the last 4 months. I see that every country has a different division.
Yeah.
But in my case, it is research, education, culture, and media even.
Wow.
So I always am the lucky girl.
A huge portfolio.
Yeah, it's quite huge, but it all has it has some similarities. Especially if you look at the value of culture, science, education, and media for every citizen in your country.
Especially in these times.
Exactly. Yeah.
In 2021, you were already offered the position. You said no at that time. 5 years later, you said yes. What changed in these 5 years?
The setting was better. So when I was asked the question in that period, I had just accepted the position at Maastricht University to become president of the university after having been the provost, which would be the name in the Anglo-Saxon system. So the rector, we say,
yes,
in the Netherlands. And I had just accepted that, and I also like to keep to my commitments. And a second reason also had to do with some private reasons, because I just had a divorce, and it would have meant also for my children that their mother would be in The Hague occupied with running the country in the cabinet. And I really felt like this is just not the right moment in our private lives to have such a change. And they were then also smaller, of course, younger than they are now. So I said, no, I should not do that. And this time that the question came, I had already 10 years of board membership at Maastricht University. And they knew already that I was, in my final second term, already actually my third term. And that it was a moment in time also to do other things. And privately, it was also perfect. Or perfect, it's never perfect.
It's never perfect.
With children, it's always a struggle. But the setting was better. Yeah. And I have to say, I think going into politics when you're not a professional politician, which I'm not, always takes some extra thinking, because you also enter into a world, in my case, that is quite unknown to me, where you're not sure also what to expect. And at the same time, if I looked at the way that the country is developing and actually the world is developing, I also felt some urgency to see if I could contribute to make this world a little bit of a better place. And that's maybe naive, but that was also part of my considerations to say, well, it's always easy to say no and to watch from the sides and comment and have critique.
Yes.
That's too easy. Maybe step into it and see how far you get with your ambitions for this country.
Yes. I like to tap into something that you said, uncertainty, and also you don't have I don't know if we could say every politician has the same path, but you have a distinctive path. You are by training, a victimologist, and you've been the youngest rector. You're a legal scholar. It is not the path of a politician we see every day.
No, I think I would agree there. Yes.
So,
yes.
How did politics come to be about?
Well, it actually started with a question from the party that won the elections in the last election round. The head of the political leader asked me to form the cabinet in the process towards a new cabinet. That's quite a legal process also in the Netherlands, that there is an external advisor that helps the parties to become a cabinet. And I was asked to take that role. That was already quite a surprising question, because normally former politicians will do that. So when Rob Jetten, our current prime minister, asked me to take up that role, the first thing I said, why me? I don't know a lot about politics. He said, but I heard good things about your skills in how to run institutions, how to work with people, how to negotiate, how to mediate. And that's what we now need. And I said yes. So that was my first step into this Hague bubble, and to help the political parties to reach an agreement on content, on finances. And that's where it started, actually. I got kind of a good look behind the scenes because of that position.
And you could think carefully if you wanted to step into this world.
Exactly, because it was 10 weeks, and they were quite intense. It was like every day and night and weekends, working with the three political leaders to get to that agreement, and some of their colleagues at the side tables. And of course, all the opposition parties also came by to talk about their ambitions for the country and how they viewed our steps in between towards the final agreement. So I got to know all the people, and I also got to respect the political, both leadership, but also actually all political leaders, that they took the extra effort to do something good for the country, even with different views on what that should be. And then I became more confident that maybe this could be something for me. And I think the fact that I had that opportunity also helped in saying yes when the question for minister came, because that was not part of that first step into this world.
You mentioned we are in The Hague. After a long day, what does this office feel like to you?
This is a beautiful office, isn't it?
It is wonderful.
It's if I have so many different kind of meetings in this room. It can be with museum directors who are setting up the museum to remember our slavery history. It can be with the Nobel Prize winner of economics who comes to meet me. It can be everything on my beautiful domains. So often when everyone is gone, I sit here and I feel like, I'm really a lucky girl, that I get to meet so many inspirational people that want something from me. That's why they come and talk with me, but with a lot of passion for what they do, what they make, what they work for. And that gives a lot of energy. So it's seldom that I go home and feel like drained or it's very inspirational what I can do in this office. There's another world outside. If I go to Parliament, that is hard work. But here in the office, the people that I meet, it's really a joy.
It's left people. By the way, you have a wonderful entrance here. When you enter the building, You can see artworks. You have also sculptures of the Nobel Prize winners, the Dutch Nobel Prize
Only
winners.
men.
Only men.
We have work to do there.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
And it's just, I liked stepping into this world, so to speak, because it is a world. It's a collection of, well, art, people, and education and science.
You feel it, eh?
Yes, wonderful. It's amazing. Let's go further into the present. I briefly mentioned that you studied law. You are trained in victimology. You spent 20 years building a career around victims, so to speak, people without power. And then at 40, you became, well, the youngest female rector magnificus in Dutch history. Impressive, again. Take me to the young Rianne. What would she have refused to believe about the woman that you actually became nowadays?
Oh, that's a tough question. What would she refuse to believe? Well, I think that at some point in time, you learn to become more comfortable in certain settings. For instance, if you have to do big public speeches, or in my current role, discuss in parliament your legislative proposals. If you had asked me then, I would have said, "Oh my God, I'm never gonna dare to do that." Always that public presence. There's a lot of attention for that, and I, for many times, or for a long time in my career, I had this imposter syndrome that I would always feel like, okay, I'm gonna fail, and they will finally find out that I am actually not as good as that people may give me credits. And a lot of women have that imposter.
I hear that in almost every conversation.
Yes, and I'm quite a perfectionist, so I also feel that I always have to perform, and that I have to perform at 100% or more level. And that's indeed someday people will find out, okay, she's actually a loser. And that I'm more comfortable now to say I'm turning 50 in September. Like, no, the way that you work and the way that you prepare your work, you can be more confident that you know what you're talking about. But back then, as the young Rianne, I was really insecure. Yeah, and it took really years to learn to believe in myself.
It takes a lot of effort,
Yeah,
right?
it takes a lot of effort and also hard work. And maybe you could do a little bit less and have the same results, but I never had that confidence that that would then be enough.
Yeah.
So in that sense, yeah, I learned to trust my capabilities a little bit more. The people around me that support me, that is also quite helpful. Huh? That you have good people.
Oh, yes.
I'm very much a team player. So the more I can work with people in a team that are even actually better than me, that's always a better choice than to look for people that are not as good as.
Yes.
And so I always have an eye for great talents because that will help the entire team effort.
Wonderful. Thank you for mentioning, I'm talking about imposter syndrome. It is, I feel you when you say the combination of imposter syndrome and perfectionism. But really, so to speak, nailing that, really trusting yourself. It's not just others trusting in your capabilities, but us trusting in ourselves as well. So
yeah, and to say it out loud to yourself. So I've now had a few times discussions in parliament. The first time I went there, I felt like, oh my God, will I be able to do this? This is totally new, a new arena for me, sometimes totally new topics than what I've been working in for the last 20 years. And then you don't really know, is the preparation that I'm putting into it enough? Because it's the first time. And then the second time and the third time, I used the same method to get to that stage of knowledge and experience. And now, after 4 months, I know, okay, you can trust the way that you prepare and that you can also manage in parliament and cope with the entire dynamics in parliament, because they can be quite strong.
Yes.
It's a different world.
yes.
And then I say that out loud the night before. Okay, Rianne, you can do it. You've done it 3 times before. Don't stress yourself. You can do it.
Cheer
And that-
yourself on.
Yeah, and I make that like I really say it to myself. Stop being nervous. You can do it. That helps me a little bit. It's a psychological thing.
It is.
Yeah.
I like that.
And I had a colleague of mine here who's one of my spokespersons. She said to me, people are really helpful. Huh? It's wonderful. They say, Rianne, with stress, you can also do it. And that's also true. Also, even with stress, it also makes you perform at that moment, that you need to perform even better.
Yes.
And so even my young colleagues, they teach me very important lessons.
I love that dynamic.
Yeah.
You chose victimology as a field. It's not a glamorous choice. People without power. What drew you to this? And what did you learn from that? Especially in the context of that you came into position of power. What did teach that to you?
Well, it started already in my childhood with parents who have always taught us that where you were born is not something you choose. So you're privileged if you're born, in my case, in a family where there is a certain level of safety in the physical sense, but also in the economic sense. And they always taught me not to take that for granted, because not everyone is born in such a position.
Yes.
And what can you do to make sure that everyone has equal opportunities, and that you also have an eye for people who need maybe extra help to get to a certain level in society. So looking after people who are more vulnerable was always part of my growing up as a girl. And that's also why I want to study law, because the law is actually there to protect its citizens, to protect people, and in particular the most vulnerable people in society. And what I learned during my legal scholarship is that the law is actually not always very good in protecting the most vulnerable in society. And that can be people who have become a national minority. That was the topic of my PhD. Or people who become victimized by mass crimes, such as genocide or crimes against humanity. Then you see that the legal structures and systems that we have created actually do not bring the justice that these very vulnerable people, after such atrocities, actually need. And that's when the victimology came in, because that's much more of a social science discipline, where you also use empirical research methods to study how you can actually address the needs of people victimized by international crimes, we call that. And that's all about, again, for me, how can we make sure that those who need protection the most also have access to that protection? Because I don't like legal norms that are just there for the lawyers to write PhDs about. That's not why we have law. We need it to work.
Yeah.
And in my role now, you can actually see how you can contribute to that ambition, that whatever we create, it has to work for those people that we make it for.
Yeah.
And that is for me a driving force in every decision I make to do to make a new step in my career or whatever I do.
Wow, that is really inspirational. And you mentioned something about laws. It's there to protect us, but sometimes it fails to protect the most vulnerable. And we never really think about the luck we have in life if we're being born into safety. So thank you for pointing that out.
It's really, that's also the picture behind me is a woman that I met in Rwanda, and she has survived the genocide in Rwanda. And I'm ambassador of an association that tries to contribute also to the health and economic, life of victims of the genocide in Rwanda. And she has really taught me that also a lot of victims have enormous resilience, because you often think that people, because they're vulnerable, that they're also, maybe weak, or but that's not. People are very strong even after having endured such huge atrocities, and that's also quite a powerful lesson, that you will be able to continue your life if you have the right network around you and people that support you. But people are stronger than we think.
Yeah.
And that's also what she has taught me, that there is always a certain strength in our minds and in our bodies, why we want to continue to live a life in health and safety.
Yes. Wonderful. We didn't even, when we set the setting, we didn't even think about the picture. So it's a wonderful, it's not a coincidence. Technically, it's a coincidence, but thank you so much for pointing that out. And it is true. They have a huge resilience. And I would say a certain power in the powerless situation.
Yeah,
When they cannot
absolutely.
control the circumstances, but they can control their reaction to it.
Absolutely.
You've been the youngest at many things.
I'm getting 50 now, so it's ending.
Well, in 2016, at 40, you became the youngest rector magnificus of Maastricht University. What did you know at day 3 that you didn't know at day 1?
That everyone was watching you, because I was a professor and I did my teaching and my research and my travels, but then I became rector, and then I found out after day 3, I think I was wearing a jeans on day 2 because I didn't have a lot of formal things in my agenda for that day, and then the secretary told me that there were videos going around the rector is wearing jeans, and then I thought, oh my God, this is this kind of job. So everyone is watching you,
Yeah.
following you, whereas for me, I was just still Rianne. That was just doing a new job.
Yeah.
But I had another position. And I realized that on that third day, like, okay, since first day, actually, day 1, you bring a certain status to that position and people are looking up to you.
Yeah.
And I really had to get used to that. And still wanting to remain accessible, because I don't think that it's always useful to make status part of your position.
Yeah.
So I always try to tell people, I'm still Rianne, we work together, we need each other, not more than anyone else in the organization.
You managed that very well, I have to say. Even though just meeting you, and of course here in the ministry, but you feel very much accessible. So
Yeah.
you manage. How do you manage that, if I may ask?
It's also just me.
Hmm.
So it's not something you have to act. I think what is always most easy and comfortable if you can stay very close to your own character and have a little bit of authenticity in your personality, also in your work, because then people also know who you are, what you bring, what's important for you. So for me it's normal and natural, and maybe it's also again a little bit the childhood with parents who are very nice, very normal people, that they never taught me to look down on people or look up to everyone is equal.
Yeah.
I was really brought up like that. I'd really love equality in that sense.
It is, right? I think we can achieve so much more if we have equality. If everybody brings their strength and, of course, the challenges to the table, and we work together on that.
Yes.
Briefly tapping back into being the youngest, what is one thing that is actually challenging in that context of being the youngest that is not as flattering as one might think?
Oh yeah. Well, the fact that you're the youngest and that you're a woman in back then a very male environment, that does bring some challenges, because people are testing you. Do you know enough? Do you have enough experience? And then in my case, I'm also a person that also likes to connect with people, and that is, for me, that's a strength. But it can also be seen as a weakness, as if it's only the soft power that you bring in, that you cannot be tough. And so I had to learn to be able to rely still on what I think is important in the way that we work together, whether it's in your organization or in the networks that you need to work together. But it was not as easy in the beginning as I would now be able to trust that as a working method. Because there were also colleagues that said to me, male colleagues, yeah, you're too nice and you talk to everyone and you give attention to everyone and you should be tougher because you also need to fire people and la la la. And I said, well, if I fire people, I will also be able to do that, but I do that still in a preferably respectful way.
Yes.
Why should I have to do that in a totally different way? And then after a few months, these colleagues came to me and he said, yeah, we see that you can do that. But I had to prove that, apparently, as if you have more balance between soft power and being tough, that you have to defend yourself, especially as a young woman who just starts in this new career.
So everything gets questioned.
Absolutely. You're too nice. Can you be tough? Yeah. Why is that opposite?
Yeah. I have the feeling that the same behavior that women have for men, or men have the same behavior as women, they get criticized less for it.
Yeah. true, because if I reach a certain goal in the way that I think you should get to a certain goal, people would say, "Oh, she's very good in connecting people," and towards a man they would say, "Oh, he's very decisive. Oh, he's firm."
Yes.
We both get the same result.
Yeah.
But with me, it's like, "Oh, she's a good connector."
Mm.
Yeah, but I also know what I'm talking about, and I have vision, and I know where I want to get.
Yes.
And I go there in my way,
Yeah.
together with everyone who I like to be at the table to get to that way. But for a man, it's like, "Oh, he's really firm." Like, why is that different? So you see differences in how female, yeah, and it's not, you cannot generalize everything, yeah. But most women have a different methods in getting where they want to go.
Yeah.
And with men, it's often seen as, oh, they are good in strategy, and they're good in, we are also good at strategy, but we just use different methods.
Exactly. Have the same result.
Same results, often quicker,
Yes.
I have to say. So it's not always true even that the other working method works better.
Yeah. In December 2025, you briefly mentioned that you became the informateur for the coalition that would later on become the Jetton Cabinet. Do I pronounce that correctly?
Yeah.
You moderated the negotiations. At what point did you sort of suspect that you might end up on the table yourself?
Oh, that was really only after. And that there was a very short period of time in between me leaving here and going back. Because during the negotiations, we'd never discussed it. And for me, it was even more of a fact that you could not go into government because you were part of that phase.
Yes.
So I had actually excluded that out of it. Was not in my mind anymore. So when Rob Jette called me, I was again very surprised. Like, okay, now I have to think about this.
Yeah.
And so no, it was during the negotiation not a moment that I thought, will I become a minister? Or do I want it? I was really working for that result.
Yeah.
And then I actually also looked forward to going back to Maastricht and to my family because I had been here for 10 weeks. So it was not
10 weeks for the negotiation. Wow.
Wow, I know. I started 10 December. Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
Till the end of January. Yeah, almost 10 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
That must have been an intense time period.
Super intense.
Yeah. Can you let us know a tip on negotiating as a woman? How can we learn to negotiate better? Because as women, we tend to be not so good at it.
What I did in the beginning, which was new, I learned from the political leaders that were there. First thing I said, I asked Rob Jette, I want to meet the other two political leaders before I say yes.
Yeah.
Because I don't know them. And then he said that we never do that. We are the biggest party, we choose. I said that doesn't work because if they don't know me and they don't have some connection with me, how will I make a coalition between the three of you? So I need to at least meet them. So we set up a Teams, and both of them were there in the team. They looked at me. We never do this, Rianne. But I said, well, I'm new, and you have a chance to ask me questions.
Yeah.
Because for these two political leaders, I'm a totally anonymous person. So that was the first start. And then the first time we met physically here in The Hague, I started having a conversation in a setting like this, with sofas. And I said, can you tell me a little bit more about your personalities? And do you actually like each other? Because they worked for years already with each other.
Yeah.
Right? And then again, they looked at me, what's that for question? And that's why if you go into a government together, you might as well also start to like each other a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you work quite intensely with each other.
Might be helpful.
Yeah, and they're all different personalities, but that's nice because you need complementarity. But to know that from each other and to also know where are your allergies, how do you want to negotiate? I even asked the question, what are your own negotiation styles? And they were also different, but we knew it from the beginning that could lead to some tensions in the process.
Okay.
Because some said, I really want negotiations to be very tough, that we have to slam with doors. We need to get really angry because then we can go back to the content and then we will love each other again, as a matter of speak. And if you know that from the beginning, you're not surprised.
Yeah.
If your colleague political leader is much more subtle and much more of not having these huge emotions at the
Yes.
table. But we knew it from each other.
Yeah.
So I could manage that also. So I think the key is, do you dare to invest in the beginning also in that social dynamic of negotiation, which is really also there. It's not only about content and who gets more out of the negotiation table. It's also about the process and how you do it together. And I'm not sure if that is the only method, because I was also new. I didn't study to become a negotiator. So I tried what I thought was best, and it led to a good result. So in that sense, it worked. But I think it is not something that many negotiators would invest in from the beginning. And I did that during the process again and again. So when I thought, okay, tensions are rising, energy is going down, people are tired, I would again also invest in this relationship building, because that then you can also accept a little bit more if the other is pushing you a little bit. Understand?
Okay. Can you elaborate a bit further into that? And some
So if you're negotiating, it's
Yeah.
about huge topics, and there are also
Yeah.
differences of opinions on many
Yeah.
topics. That's also why you have different political parties. In the Netherlands, we have quite a lot.
That's democracy, right?
That's democracy.
Yeah.
So you constantly need to get somewhere in the middle in order to come to a next step.
Yes.
And at the same time, you also know that after that negotiation period, you are going, if it works, into cabinet together, probably in ministerial positions. So you still need to make sure that you don't break the relationship permanently. Then, of course, you will not even enter into a cabinet.
Yep.
But you need to invest both in this, what I would call the relationship between, in this case, the three political leaders, and their vision on society and how can we make common ground.
Okay.
And they go hand in hand, these two. You cannot completely separate that. Because if they start hating each other during the process, I will not get any result on content.
Yeah.
So for me, that is not logical, but apparently it doesn't always work like that.
Yeah. Thank you for elaborating further on that. And it's a fascinating topic, and I must say I really admire you for managing that. It is not an easy task.
No, because I didn't know the three at all. Also not Robiette yet, as well as I know him now. So you're also insecure, like, will this work? Can I go as far as I want to go on that relational path?
Yes.
But we had a groups effort, the four of us, and it was hilarious because it was also nice to see very soon in the process that all three had enormous humor.
Yeah.
And
that's a wonderful.
and that's so nice.
Yeah.
If you then had a tough day, then at least in the WhatsApp you would get all funny anecdotes and pictures, and that is. You also need to make sure that the tension is a way out of the tension.
Yeah.
And I think that is sometimes underestimated.
Yeah. I really like what you said. I would even say, based on that WhatsApp group, also letting the tension go, that's also part of democracy.
It is.
To enjoy life as well. Last but not least, if there's a woman listening on this podcast about women and also having a career and being on the step of saying either no or yes to a position, what would you say to her?
Follow your intuition, and I also like to feel if a certain question comes in instead of only think. So make the combination that you dare to go a little bit deeper in feeling. What does this do, this question, in my stomach? Often you get a physical reaction.
Yes.
If such a question comes to you. And then what I do is gather my most dear people around me. So that is my husband, that's my children. In this case, also my ex-partner, who is the father of the children. So we're all together. Should we do this? Because it's really a we thing.
Yeah.
And then at some point, they also help me, just do it, Rianne. This is now your time to do it. So also help the people you trust most, who know are honest. They will help you also to get to a final decision.
I like that. Thank you so much. I love this deep dive. It has so many different angles. And we have a fast Q&A section, very fast one,
Yeah.
and I love this one.
And I can only give one word, or can I say
no,
also
yeah, also
sentences?
sentences, yes.
Okay.
They're allowed as well, yes.
Okay.
Okay, a compliment women in leadership almost never get.
For instance, that you're decisive or good in strategy. They will often say, "Oh, she's so nice."
Yeah, they just sum it up.
Yeah. So that compliment you will not often get.
What's the worst advice you ever followed?
What's the worst advice I ever followed? I'm not sure even if I had maybe in the beginning when I started in Maastricht, that the advice was being less kind. And then I was really struggling, like, okay, do I have to change my personality now in a job, which is at executive level? I don't want that. And I just didn't, at some point, felt, again, I'm not going to follow that advice.
The most underrated virtue in politics?
Honesty.
I love that one. It's true.
Yeah.
A book you recently read that made you change your mind on an issue?
I'm a big fan of the book of the biography actually of Jacinda Ardern.
Yes.
I would say pronounce her last name probably.
I think so, yeah.
And I think she is quite a role model for me. She went into politics and then she also left politics. But she really tried with her enormous skills and experience to add also this soft skills power and to her work. And I think she was very much also respected for that combination. So she's quite a role model. And I love to read all biographies of female politicians, also Madeleine Albright, if you read that. It's a beautiful book. But this was more recent.
Yeah. Oh, she's amazing. I'd love to have her on the podcast.
Yeah, I can imagine. You should have her.
Maybe on the upcoming ones. This is kind of mean, the next question, but accurate. Who is the most overrated politician in history?
Overrated.
Yes.
I always find it difficult to say that, but that has to do also with my style, as if I would have to evaluate someone that I would know only from a distance and from the feedback that maybe reporters or historians have given to a certain person. So I will not answer with a name. I'm a little bit more humble there to be to provide critique on someone.
That is fine. Yes.
Sorry.
No, don't worry. Next question is kind of similar. Who's the most underrated politician in history?
Underrated politician in history. Yeah, you're saying.
So there's a huge timeline you can decide from.
Yeah, then I would go back to also Jacinda maybe, because she stopped becoming a politician with a very honest, vulnerable reason. Eh?
Yeah.
Like I think the sentence was like, I want to spend more time with my family. It's just now no longer in the right work-life balance. And a lot of people critique that as if that is a sign of weakness. And for me, it's a sign of strength. And a big example. So I hope that the historians, when they start writing about her period, will also see her as a hero, actually, both in her political period, where she had some very tough situations to handle, and then in the end also making a very difficult, but also very brave decision. So I think she could be...
that could be more highlighted.
Yeah, absolutely.
Seen as a strength.
Absolutely as a strength.
Yeah. What's something every politician should be forced to do, but doesn't?
I think you should always remain very close to the people you are working for and whatever ministry you are.
Yeah.
So for me, if I'm not enough in society, and that can be with students, it can be with cultural, with artists, with journalists, and I don't hear and listen and genuinely want to know what actually matters to them, and I just stay here in this bubble, I think you're a lousy politician. I think you really need to make sure you keep the connection.
Yeah.
And not only for your political reasons but that you want votes. The votes, for me, are in that sense not why I'm here. I'm here to make that connection and to also do what helps people in society.
Absolutely.
But you have to put time in that. Otherwise, before you know it, you're only here.
Yeah.
And then you become part of the bubble, and I don't think that's good.
I agree with you on that one. It is for the people and also with the people that
Absolutely.
we need politics to be. Last but not least is one word for the Dutch education and culture.
I would say accessibility and equality, because we have quite an accessible system with low tuition fees, easy access for everyone, which also then helps in providing equal opportunities to all. And we're not perfect, so we still have work to do. But I take high value in the fact that we have accessibility in all layers of our educational system. Whether you want to go to university or to vocational training, the threshold to enter should not be enormously high, so that you only get the elite into certain educational levels. And I appreciate that very much.
Equality.
Yeah, again,
Yes.
equality.
Thank you
Yes.
so much. It's been exciting and also impressive to tap into your career, getting you to know you personally a bit better through the fast Q&A section. And I must say, I really admire how you see life, how you work through life. It is highly inspirational, and thank you so much for taking the time to be here with us.
Thank you so much for having interest. That always makes me humble as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.